Welcome back to another episode of Industry Talk with Brandon Andre, and I'm here with...
Hi, I am Hitesh Bisht, originally from India, lived in US, mostly New York for, it's going to be 6 years. And I am currently signed with a 2 management.
And how old are you and what's your height?
I am 29 years old and my height is 6'1".
And how long have you been modeling for?
I would say it's been a decade. I did few years in India. I started in 2015 in India and I did few years there. And then I moved to New York in 2018. And since then, I've been just doing it here.
Nice. So this is a pretty big episode that we're doing today because we first discovered each other because I did a video on TikTok and social media on South Asian male models. And I was alarmed because I found how underrepresented you guys are in the industry, where I think I in total found maybe 19 or 20 across all of the agencies in the United States and maybe including some in Europe. I wasn't sure. I don't know if I did a deep dive in Europe, but I was like, oh my gosh, this is like less than 1% that you see represented.
Yes.
That video got a lot of traction from South Asian people, and there's a lot of discussions in the comments as to why that took place. That's how you came across me, correct?
Yes.
We've since then talked about having you come on to the show and sharing your experience as an Indian man who's a male model in this business. And I think it's going to be cool because I want you to share your experience, everything that you need to know, especially because you're not American and you're not...
I'm not even American Indian.
Exactly.
I'm Indian Indian.
Exactly. So you have a specific perspective on this, especially because you've broken into an American market. And that's even a lot of Indian followers that I have are going to want to know, like, how can I break into the American market? Because, you know, there's visa situations and all that you got to unpack and learn through. But I want to first start by getting some context from your background, you know, how you got into modeling, how modeling looks like in India, and just walk us through kind of from your early beginnings.
Well, I never wanted to be a model, first of all. I was a soccer player. I played soccer for an Indian team. I had a surgery on my left knee, so I kind of like dropped that thing. And then I was just like, someone told me that, have you ever thought about being a model? I said, no, what is even that? And then they just randomly sent me an audition, you know, a note. And I went to the audition. I saw the typical, 7 years back from now, what was modeling in India, like tall, bearded, very macho, big muscle, not too chiseled, but like good face, smart, handsome. That was the genre of Indian male model. And I was like, I'm definitely not going to get it.
What was your build like then?
I was still like this, but what I noticed after that, when I got selected, and modeling in Europe and an international market, everyone looks like me. I'm like, I want to do that. And then it was just like connections and connection. You meet person to person and then they keep connecting you to a different person. Then I got signed to an agency in India and they didn't give me any job for 1.5 years.
What agency and where in India are we talking?
New Delhi, that's where I'm from. This guy who was just like a scout and stuff, he was Serb scouting.
He was what scouting, I'm sorry?
Serb, S-E-R-B. It was under his name, Serb scouting.
Okay.
He tried to push me, but no one took me. And he was telling me that Hitesh, he was the first person who told me, Hitesh, you will make it there. And then I started looking at all these fashion shows and stuff in like international market. And then people started liking my look in India, but I never did something really big, but I was okay. Then I was doing a show and I left that agency because it was 2 years. And then...
Wait, so he did scout you and an agency did eventually scout you?
It was just him by himself. He was a scout. And then through him, I made connections and I was doing a show. One of the biggest designer, I would say, from India named Shantanu and Nikhil. And there I met a model who was a senior model who had model in New York and an international market. Her name is Ninja. She came to me. She said, have you ever thought that you can model outside? I said, why would you say so? And she said that I know people exactly look like you and you could do so well outside. I will place you in an agency. She took some photos of me. She put my story on Instagram about like how I was a soccer player and stuff. Then IMG London signed me. So I was the first Indian male model to sign IMG London. Like Indian. Again, for me, Indian is like if you're born in India, you have spent your life in India. Not that you're born in India and then you move to US when you're like 2 years old. Or you are an Indian family and you're born in US. I don't consider that. because you still are like influenced with the Western culture. You don't really care about where you come from. This whole journey of modeling where I am right now is all about my journey and finding who I am. I'm not going to be someone what people want to see, but people will take me for who I am.
So she took your pictures.
Then IMG took me, but my visa got rejected. It is a pain in the ass. My visa got rejected, and I was like, why me?
So how much did you spend on your first application attempt?
It was spent by my agency. It was a London visa, not US visa. And it got rejected. So I could not apply in the time span of next 6 months. But then meanwhile, my morale was extremely low. But then my mother agent that time, Ninja, she said, you have more potential. She came to New York. She spoke to multiple agencies. Soul was interested in me. And then Muse was interested in me. So Muse from New York really liked me. And they wanted to bring me in. So I got in Muse and I was like, wow, I never wanted to be in New York. I wanted to do modeling in London because I think you can resemble Indian culture more in London than in New York, I think. And I came to New York with like zero hopes, just did not know what's going to happen to me. And for 6-7 months, I didn't book any job.
What year are we talking? How old were you?
It was 2018.
So 23 years old?
Yeah, 23 and a half something.
So walk me through what you were going through as a 23-year-old, young dude. Did you go to college in India?
I was never the one who would study. I always liked things that were like tough, hard, not study because that's boring. I was always in sports. I always wanted to do something that makes me feel uncomfortable.
Which is important to your story because that means if your family wanted you to go to college, then you doing modeling meant that you were going against the grain.
100%.
Causes a lot of conflict, because now you're trying to do something in modeling where you don't really have the support necessarily. And it's like, now you have to prove to them that what you did is actually going to pay off. So that's a part of the stress that a 23-year-old is going through, especially, if you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm aging out. I'm 23 years old, especially back then, because back then I feel like age was a bigger issue than it is now. Now age isn't as big of an issue as it was like in the 2010s and before. But okay, so you're 23 years old. Obviously you're like, okay, I'm probably an embarrassment to my family because I'm not working out here and I didn't go to college. So how did you sustain yourself living in abroad?
So I don't think I ever felt embarrassment and my family ever let me feel that I'm not doing good enough. They always supported me. They always supported me for soccer and they supported me for modeling. They said, if you are happy, we are happy. Because they knew that I am a child who would do it. The more you try to stop me, the more I want to do it. Because I was always curious, why is someone stopping me to do that thing? I want to do that thing.
Is that normal in your culture for your parents to have supported you that way? Or is that considered normal?
No, it's not. No one in my family and I know I did that. But I would say there were so many people came out and they wanted to do modeling because they thought I did it and they can do it too. And I think that's the best feeling when someone looks at you and want to do the same thing.
Like you inspired people.
Yes, that's the best feeling, I would say.
But to confirm, so you're saying that it's not normal in Indian culture for you to have had the support from your family to do something like modeling?
Yes, like if I would go 10 years back, probably 7 years back.
So you're blessed because your family supported you in trying to do something. That's good to know.
And then I got scouted and I came here. Well, obviously money.
Right.
Well, I come from a middle class family, but I never felt that way because my mom and dad obviously never let me feel that thing. But I always knew the value. Like I always wanted to earn things. And if somebody wants to give me something, I would say, I would take it, but I would work hard and then you give me. Well, I'd say my ego is big. I like satisfying my own ego. That's why I like to work more hard. Then coming to New York, I was like, what is this world? Am I going to make it? Am I not going to make it? But I love that feeling. And I didn't do any jobs for 6 months when I first came to New York.
So I pulled you into the 23 years old. We were at London. You applied. You got rejected.
Yes.
So let's bring it back to London now. So you're 23 years old. We understand now your state of being, the context. You had a loving family that supported you. What happened after you got rejected with the visa? And where were you when that happened? Were you in India when you got rejected?
Yes, I was in India when I got rejected for London visa. And that's when I got scouted by Muse. and I came to New York with Muse. Still, I wanted to go to London, and I didn't give up. My agency reached out to me again from London. They reapplied my visa, and it was already more than 6 months, and I got my visa for London.
IMG London signed you, and then they didn't sign you worldwide. They just signed you in London?
No, they just signed me in London.
Okay, so then when Muse contacted you, how did that work out with your mother agent?
Oh, my mother agent went to Muse and they taught.
So she connected
Yeah,
them.
she connected me. She went to the Muse and she said, "These are my guys. Would you be interested?" And they said, "We are interested in him." So yeah, she placed me with Muse.
Got it. Okay. I guess what I'm wondering, when you're a foreigner and coming to the United States and they sign you, is there a first objective to get you out to test and build a book so that you have some tear sheets before they start applying for your visa, or what's their objective?
You have to do certain things back in India as a model that you need to prove that you are an excellent talent, because the category of visa is O1, which means an extraordinary talent in an activity that you're doing or performing. So you got to prove that you are an extraordinary talent. Like you got to show some media coverage, some big campaigns and stuff. And that's when they sponsor you. So my agency from New York, Muse, they sponsored my visa.
But you had to go back to India for a while and accumulate all of the tear sheets, all of the jobs, or how?
I was in India. They just did while I was in India. I sent my tear sheet. They said, okay, this would work. Then they sponsored me my visa.
So you didn't have to go back and gather that. You already done a body of work.
If you don't gather, if you don't get that, you can't come. Right. Because that they will not sponsor you. Even if they sponsor you, your visa will get rejected because you do not have enough material to show at the embassy.
So why this is good to even address is because I think people who are listening, who live in a foreign country, who live in India, need to recognize, because a lot of people DM me all the time. They're like, oh, I want to come to the States. I want to go to Europe. It's like, you actually have to do a lot of the work at home first.
Yes.
Because in order for you to get a visa, you have to actually show proof of work based from where you're from first in order for you to actually qualify for a work visa to get signed in the United States. Is that correct?
Yes, you have to do something back in your own country. Even if you have 3 big editorial images that the world knows, I think it's easy. You just need to have that coverage or a big campaign, whatever you do, but you need to have a tear sheet. I would say minimum a 50-page of tear sheet, that you have 50 images, that you work for more than 10 clients in your own country.
And then when they sponsored you, you didn't have to come out of pocket for any of that?
So what agency does is when they sponsor you the visa, they add it in your account. Very big thing, which models do not know, I think, is whatever agency is doing for you, nothing is for free. They would charge you every single thing. So if they buy you the flight tickets or you buy from your own pocket, it's the same thing. Because if they pay for it, they're going to make you work and they're going to cut it from that.
I have a video where I talk about foreign models, and I was focusing on that video, particularly on models from Africa, because I told them, look, it's very, very hard in your guys' situation when you come from a country where the currency is very, very low to try to break into European or US market, because you need the money to be able to travel, to pay for these flights, to pay for your stays and stuff. And realistically, you have to be able to either produce a lot of money from where you're from or come from wealth in order to really successfully do modeling. And a lot of them don't understand because they grow up in poor countries where they feel like modeling is going to be the way that I get uplifted and all I have to do is break through. But realistically, unless you're really, really lucky and someone believes in you and they're willing to pay for you, that's a different situation. But ultimately, you're going to be put into debt when you come into different markets. But how much of support financially did you get from your family though when you were in New York and in London? Or were you ever in London, by the way, or were you?
I went to London from New York. So when my visa got rejected, I came to New York. I stayed in New York for 6-7 months, and my London agency, IMG London, they redid my visa after 6 months. So then I applied for my visa from New York, and that's when I got my visa, and that's when I went to London. But it was only 3 months, and I would tell you that was my first big breakthrough of a job, because not just you coming to a big country is something that you achieve, but you achieve when you do a bigger client. So my first ever big job, I would say my breakthrough was Ted Baker London. I did the campaign, become the face of Ted Baker for 2 years. IMG made that happen for me. I felt pretty emotional, but I was like, this is the breakthrough, but this is just a beginning for me, because this is not what I want to achieve. I want to achieve bigger.
Were you their first Indian male model that they...
Ted Baker?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
That's why you're emotional?
Yes. When I get something, I don't think I've achieved something. It like pushes me to even work harder because I think I am just that way. I never think it's enough for me. When I achieve something, I want to work more hard so that I achieve more. I want to see how far I can go in my career. I did that. Then it still didn't work out. And I went back to India after that. And after that, IMG was trying to get me back to London, but there were some issues that I was going through. I could not make it back. And I never had interest to come back to New York or United States.
Because of what you were going through?
No, because I never wanted to do modeling in United States. I wanted to do more in London.
Wait, so then when you got booked for that first campaign, when you said it didn't work out, do you mean that like you weren't working as often as you thought? Or what do you mean by it didn't work out? Because you got your first booking,
Yes.
major campaign,
Yes.
big brand. Why did you say that it didn't work out?
I think it's a pretty simple, common thing that all models go through. I think more than models, like every single person goes through is skin issues. While obviously the food is different, everything was different. My skin just started breaking out intensely all over my face. It was like acne and stuff. And it's a very important thing because that's what is your selling point. That's why people book you. That's what they see at the first before they even see you in person. I was like, I can still like do it because I did not care. But my agent called me. He said, there are bookings, but I am not sending you because again, it's reputation of IMG.
Yeah.
Big agencies do that. And on top of that, he said that if I sent you, you will shoot, but they would never book you again because they think you are not this or that. You don't look the same way because your skin is spoiled. So he suggested that go back to India, fix your skin, then come back. But I stayed because I wanted to try. I thought it will be fine in like few weeks. I stayed for 3 months because I wanted to try, but it did not. And then I went again to check on my agent and he said, it's still the same. I cannot because then I'm also spoiling my relation with the casting directors.
Right.
Which is true. And I think a lot of people take this personally, but it's professional. That's how it should be. And I feel the world has become so sensitive right now. They think that, oh, why are you telling me this? But it is what it is. If you are not even tough enough to face that reality and try to work hard, then you should not do it.
Did you know that at the time though, or is it something that you've learned in hindsight?
I kind of like always was that because of sports.
Oh, that's
yeah,
true. You have a very athletic approach to your career,
yes,
which is really
yes,
cool.
Yes, that's how I see things.
Which is funny because I saw a podcast with Timothy Chalamet that he did like in the last couple of days, and he talks about his acting career, much like an athlete, and that's what people in the comments were saying. Like he has a very athletic approach to approaching acting. And that's kind of how you sound like when you talk. But okay, so at this time though, how old were you? Were you still 23? Was this happening?
Yes, I turned 24.
Okay.
I went back the same year, like 2018, to India. I almost like gave up in modeling and I was like, I want to go back in soccer. Then I played the league in New Delhi. I played that. I tried again. But then everyone kind of knew he had an injury. He took a break and I just couldn't make it back to that level. And all of a sudden, my mother agent at that time in India, Ninja, she said, guess who's interested in you? Muse, New York. I said, fine, I'll do it. And I didn't think about anything else, what's going to happen. I just again came to New York.
But they had already sponsored your visa.
Yes. So when they sponsor, it's for 3 years. My London visa, when they sponsor, that's a different visa. That's a tier 5 that you only get for 3 months or 6 months. You never get for 3 years.
So you stayed the max of your London visa.
No, I understand. It was 6 months or like 3 months.
Okay. And then during those 3 months in London, did you do any test shoots or anything related to modeling?
1 or 2 test shoots. I went for the castings, ASOS, classic.
So you still went out to do things despite your agent saying that they don't want to send you out? Or did he selectively send you out to the things that he felt like, if I try to get you in the fashion world, this is where you really have to be the best of the best?
He actually just did in the first 3 weeks or 2 weeks. But then when he saw my skin getting like spoiled, like after 3 weeks, because I think my eating, I did not like know what I'm going to eat because obviously food, environment and everything that you grow in a different part of the country is different. And I grew up eating a different food and it just reacted and like my skin got really bad. So then I went back to India. I tried to fix my skin and, also like it's expensive in London when you don't have insurance and in New York. So I went back, I did all that in India and then I came back to New York.
And what year are we talking now?
That was 2019 in September.
So it took you about a year
Yeah, like 9 months, I would say.
to situate everything in your skin.
Yeah, I went to the doctor. Used to eat meat and like stuff in London, in New York. A dollar slice when you don't have money. All you do is eat a dollar slice. I did not know what's good for me, what's not. And then I started taking care of it and it worked out. Came back to New York, same agency, because I still had my 2 years of my visa remaining. Then I booked few jobs, like small jobs, like a little bit of here and there. But I was on a debt for almost $7,000 to $8,000.
With Muse.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because sponsoring of visa, I stayed in the model's apartment. You pay to be on the website twice a year. You pay for your book. You pay for a promotion even in Fashion Week. If you get a job, you get a job. But if you don't get a job, you're still paying for the show package. But when you make a little bit of money, they take 20%, then they cut the tax, which is 30%. So what you're left with is almost 55%. Then from that 55%, they go to your account, they see how much money you owe them. They cut that. And then if there is something left, you get, which is very hard, unless you're super lucky. There are a few models who are lucky who just make it like that. Everyone has their own different journey and we don't have to compare ourselves with different models.
Right.
And I started doing that. I booked few jobs and I made it to almost like the $7,000, $8,000, $9,000. I cleared my debt and then I got my first check.
During that time, how were you sustaining yourself as you were paying off the debt that you accumulated with your agency?
During that time, when you really, really need money and you kind of know that, you don't want to ask from your family, I try to do multiple things. I mean, I'm not trying to like say that I did it because it was fun, but I worked in bodegas. I worked in restaurants as a server, as a host, just to, have that pocket money. And I think all models do that. Just a little bit of pocket money to like sustain everything. And it keeps them busy as well. But it was like never enough. I remember I used to do this heavy, like in the catering in which I was used to like lift all the stuff, go in the morning at like 4 a.m. on Saturday, do 12 hours of shift, go back to the location the next morning at 2 a.m., probably Sunday 2 a.m., come back to my place. It only used to pay me $110.
Allow people to understand the other aspect of the visa thing. Because when you get a visa, you're only allowed to work as a model.
Yes.
So that meant that you had to find work that wasn't under the table pay, essentially.
Yes.
So that's why you were making a little money. And
Yeah.
and so you had to find work as a foreigner that sustained you to live in New York City.
Yes. And that was a lot of hard work, I would say, more like 24 hours for $110. What do you think is like a value of $110 in New York City or in Los Angeles? It is nothing.
And it's 2019. So we're not talking about far in the past. We're talking about relatively recently.
Yep.
Wow. So you never asked your parents or anybody for help?
I stopped asking from 2020 as the pandemic hit.
Right.
And the pandemic, I would say, was a really big thing in my life because I think it gave me a room to find who I am actually and made me more express about what I feel and who I am. And that's what has helped me in modeling in my career till now. When I talk about Indian models, I talk about male models, not female, because I think we still have a lot of diverse female Indian models who are doing great, who I know, who are model in India. They're doing great. But it's totally different than male model. Male model barely do things and it's really, really hard. And it's not that they're bad or good. It's all about the market needs time to accept their looks. And I knew few models, they went back during the pandemic, but I decided that I am going to stay. I stayed. I tried to do stuff here and there. And then the market opened again. I did my few shoots from Muse. That made me a little money.
At this point, though, was your debt paid off already?
No.
So how many years did it take for you to pay off your debt with Muse?
2 years almost.
Which basically means that you didn't make any money for those first 2 years because you're paying off your debt, correct?
Yes, I did not make any money for 2.5 years because I'm still paying my debt.
Here's post-pandemic, right? And this is assuming you went through, which a lot of us went through our own emotional, personal battles and life reflections and stuff. But you came out of that having a bigger understanding of who you are. You finally pay off your debt 2 years into, this is like 2022, 2021?
2021.
And what were the first couple of jobs that allowed you to pay off your debt?
I did a campaign for Lee. I did some shows. I did shoot with this brand that was like very for the short amount of time. Seneca, they kept booking me for a few times and I feel that helped me. And then Bombas, I don't know if a lot of people know about that brand. It's like a socks loungewear. Then I did some like big like campaign.
And can you drop the rate so that people understand? Like,
yeah,
especially because the context is we're in 2020, 2021. You're in New York City.
Yep.
You're a foreigner. So what rates are we talking here?
I think the rate always differs from what you're doing, what is the footage going to be like, and where you are displaying it. So if you're doing an e-com or like a lookbook, it's anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000. If you're like on a bigger platform as a model, I think then your rates are different. But then other than that, it's either $1,500 to $2,000. For the campaign, you get anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000. But then campaign, depending on if it's just going to be in New York or if it's going to be the south side of America or the whole United States.
Which is called usage, by the way.
Yeah. During the pandemic, while I was doing that, I also noticed how I am in front of the camera because I found something within myself, which is my other passion, cooking.
He said cooking, not cocaine.
Not cocaine, cooking.
It sounded like you said cocaine, but
cooking. Yes, it's cooking. I was just drawn by one of the restaurants that I went to, the way they displayed the food, and I found that it really pleases my eyes before I even eat it. It's a very common dish. Now everyone eats it. It's a tuna tartare with some radish, ponzu reduction. It was John George's restaurant, Nougatine, Columbus Circle.
Nice.
I remember that dish inspired me and I decided that I want to work as a chef. Even while I was modeling, because I think modeling, who are you as a model? Like model is a job and a profession, but who actually are you as a person? Like, what do you do?
Right.
Like modeling is you're not doing anything.
That's actually such a good point that I have to like make sure I make videos about. Modeling isn't anything.
Exactly. It's not anything. It's like you're not doing anything.
Right.
Some people think, oh, like I'm putting on clothes, I'm doing that. But just think, everyone gets dressed every morning to go to work, look themselves in the mirror. Everyone takes the selfies or ask their friends to take selfies. You're not doing anything.
Yeah. I tell people that all the time. Like when I coach people, I'm like, modeling isn't an identity. The people that treat modeling as if it's an identity are the most embarrassing, cringe people ever, because no one who's an actual working model treats it like an identity. They don't often say like, look at me, I'm a fashion model. They show it first and foremost. But it's because when you actually are modeling, you realize it's just a job. But who you are is the reason why people end up hiring you. And that's why it's best to show people who you are, which is what you're talking about. What are you interested in? Who are you beyond just being in front of the camera? And so you having had developed that passion is a really important thing for the audience to know, that, you know, it's important to have something else to you.
I didn't even know that I could be a great chef. I would still not say I'm a great chef. I would never say that, because if I say that, I'm going to stop learning. I went to a restaurant in New York City. I said, I want to work in the kitchen. They said, do you have any experience? I said, no. I said, do you want to be a server or a host? I said, no, it doesn't excite me. I said, please give me a chance. Just have me come for 2 days. And if you don't like me, I will not come. The chef came in. He said, come tomorrow. And I went in for 2 days to give my trial. And I think I did not know anything, but I knew one thing. Imitation is flattering only if you know how to do it right. I can see someone doing a certain thing and I could do it, if not better, but not even less. I can do exactly same way by just looking at it. I saw all my chefs. I was just observing for one day. I did few things. Obviously, I messed up a lot of things, but I'm never scared of like messing up anything. I love messing up things because that's when I'm pushing myself. I don't want anything perfect. And I did 1 day, I did 2 days. He said, you can come from the next day. Then the main chef comes on the 4th day. And at the end of the service, this is what he said. You are not as bad as I thought you would be. Well, that's a compliment in the kitchen. I said, perfect. He said, I would hire you, but I can't pay you. He knew I was a model. He said, this is not modeling. I said, chef, I don't care. I want to learn. I want to grow. He gave me the job. I worked for 2 years. And I proved myself by just working hard that I could do good. And he himself gave me an opportunity to open a new restaurant in LA and make the menu with him. So during that time period, I was under pressure and still expressing myself, because food is a way of expression. It's not impression. You're not trying to impress anyone. It made me express myself even more. That helped me how I am in front of the clients, casting director, and in front of the camera, because I was comfortable. And I feel when a lot of people start modeling, they're not comfortable because they're still trying to think, if I should do this, then I will look good, or if I do that. You don't have to do anything. You just have to be who you are and be confident. I just did that, and I noticed a huge amount of growth in my modeling career. And I would definitely give credit to me being a chef and the way I was expressing myself. I booked a big client and they were like, oh, he's a chef. I kind of felt good. Like, I'm not just a model. I am doing something. I'm making something. I'm creating something. And that was my biggest money job at that time until 2021.
What was the name of that chef that gave you the opportunity?
So the first person who obviously got me into cooking is my uncle. My uncle's name is Kunal, who I worked with at this point of my life as a private chef. But the chef who gave me that opportunity is Chef Sujan. He is a Michelin star chef right now. He has multiple restaurants, but he believed in me in the kitchen. You could recommend someone at a certain place, but you have to prove yourself in that area. And then the person who's in charge, it's up to them. So he believed in me and he gave me that opportunity.
When did you open up the restaurant in LA?
The restaurant opened in 2023, April. He was like, do you want to be a part of my pre-opening team and make the menu with me? I was like, that is something. I don't come from a culinary background and I went to a culinary school. And I think if you are passionate enough for anything, you can learn. But all you need to do is you need to be open to learn things. You can't just say, oh, I feel bad because of this. I feel bad because of that. It is going to happen. I mean, that's when you push yourself in different areas when you are uncomfortable. You're feeling the pressure. I worked in the kitchen again for like 12 hours every single day without eating. But I don't know, I noticed something. I always had a smile on my face after I would finish the service. And when I come back the next morning, I would always have a smile. And I was like, this is what makes me really happy.
And you said that he wasn't paying you?
No. He was paying me, but I was not getting enough money, like obviously.
Right.
He said, it's not modeling. I can't pay you what you make in modeling.
Okay. What I find admirable about your story is the ethic of a foreigner when they come here. Because I'm glad I gave everyone context to your situation, right? Understanding, okay, you're in debt, you're 23 years old, the culture in which you came from and expectations, because all of that is important and it describes and explains your hustle and why you had such tenacity to just like, you know, walk into a restaurant and with determination and like telling them like, this is what I'll do and I will do anything just to learn. I'm not saying that Americans don't have that spirit, but I think we take that for granted. I think we take it for granted that we have the ability to do that here as Americans, you know, because you had to figure out a way. You had to figure out a way to make it work in New York City. You had to figure out a way to pay off your debt and to like sustain yourself while you were in New York City. And when you have something to prove, especially in your shoes too, when you're like, I'm a male model from India, how many of us are out there? No one. It's not like I have anybody out there to look up to necessarily, unless, was there someone that you were kind of looking up to whose path you were trying to follow in a way that kind of inspired you?
I do not think that I was following anyone's path. I just saw people cooking and then I realized that, oh my God, I am actually a model, like an actual model coming from a different culture. I'm not a content creator. I do not choose to be that because these are my real passion. Some people find it as a job. That's how it's work for them. But I think it's more of an expression for me. I don't need to show people. I can, but I don't know why I don't do it. But I think this is one of the main reasons. Like, I don't really care about like what people think about me.
Right.
Just by the cooking thing and everything, I found like, oh my God, this is something unique about me. I've actually worked in a real kitchen. I'm not just saying I'm a chef by just making some cooking videos and got blown up on Instagram or TikTok. I've actually worked in the kitchen.
Right.
Like that's what actual chefs are, who are like in the heat, standing every single day, taking shit. And If the food is not good, you can't serve it out. And in that heat, it's brutal. People are rude to you. But hey, it's not personal. It's professional, you know?
I just watched the movie The Menu. Have you seen that?
Yes, I've had.
Interesting movie for sure. But my question was specifically in regards to an Indian male model. As we're going through all these experiences, was there an Indian male model that was helping to pave the road for you, or did you kind of like go into it blindly, not knowing what to kind of expect?
No, I did not follow any model's path for anything that I am doing. And I just kept doing what I was passionate about, cooking. And I didn't follow any single person for that.
Okay. So 2022, you're starting to now finally accumulate work as a model, right?
Yeah.
Obviously you still work as a chef. So what has your career transitioned into now that we're in 2025 from 2022, 2023?
I worked in the kitchen 2021, 2022, 2023. And I have not worked in the kitchen like a restaurant kitchen as a full-time or a part-time. It's been more than 1 year because I obviously do not need to support myself from that. And also it is a passion, and modeling is what I take care of me about everything at this point. Also because my new agency, which is To Management, and my current agency, really believed in me. And I think they loved me for who I am. And they said, this is why we want you. And I felt a connection with my agent, my current agent, and she really believes in me for who I am. And she really looks after me. And I'm really thankful and grateful to be in that agency and to have her as my agent.
Who is she?
Katie, To Management. I have a different agent back in New York, Gina. I have a different agent in Europe.
Are you now currently 2 worldwide?
Yeah. But the first one to sign me was Katie. But because so this transaction happened while I was in LA. I was still with Muse, but my previous agent from Muse, he left Muse. When he left the Muse, he asked me, you want to come with me to To Management? They're opening in New York. I said, yes. But I can't do New York transfer, so I did in LA. At that time, I was in LA. I went to the agency. They spoke to me, a short talk about who I am and as a person. I went back. They liked me. I switched. And that switching of my status from one agency to different agency is really hard. As a model, no matter whatever you do, don't go out of status. It is possible to change an agency.
What do you mean out of status?
Because when you change agency, if they can cancel your visa, you don't have a status.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Yes. So make sure you get a status by a different agency first, who's ready to sponsor. Then you terminate your contract, but do it like in a professional way. Like it was more than 45 days time period that I gave a termination letter to Muse.
How does that transition actually work when an agent you work closely with at a modeling agency decides to leave to another agency and you follow them? Do you have to part ways directly with the agency as a corporation before you move with the agent to the new corporation? And how does that even work? Because you correspond with your agent to the agency. So
honestly, I just believed in my agent. He said, I'll take care of everything. And then one of the junior agent in LA, she take care of the paperwork and stuff. So she did all my paperwork. I prepare my tier sheet again for whatever work I've done. Even when you renew your visa while staying in US, you still have to collect all the material and all the tier sheet that you have done something in US. That's when your case is going to get approved to extension your visa. So she did all the paperwork. I collected all the documents and the photos and the shoot that I've done. And then she said, we'll approve your visa. I moved to LA for 3 months.
What year are we talking?
This was 2023. But then when I switched the agency, I remember Katie was in New York that time. She came to a party when I also went to that. It was a fashion week party and she already knew about me, like me being a chef, but she never met me personally. And she saw me and she met me. She's like, you are different. I want to represent you. I said, I would love that. I said, if you would give me a flight ticket for tomorrow, I would fly. She did that. She advanced me the flight ticket for the next day. I went back. I packed everything. I moved to LA without even a second thought. I stayed in model's apartment for a month and a half or 2. Went to a bunch of castings. Did one job. Again, it still takes 2 to 3 months for the clients to know you. You just don't get job. It's not overnight magic. It takes time. You always got to prove your worth as a model. And then I went back to New York after spending 3 months here going for castings. I booked 2 jobs, but that helped me pay off my debt for model's apartment and for my visa fee. Again, because the new agency charged me for the visa fee.
Which, how much was that? Did you have to pay off?
So visa fee is cheap. The lawyer fee is $3,000.
Yeah. Wow.
Visa fee is under $1,000. It's probably like $500 or $700.
And we're still talking in 2023?
2023.
So you're still barely making money from like modeling.
I did jobs through Muse and I was doing that, but it was never like that money that I leave my chef on and a part-time jobs to actually like support my living.
When you were chefing here in the United States, did you ever at any point go back to India? Like,
today's podcast is brought to you by me, Brandon Andre. If you're a model who wants to become a working model, then you need to enroll in my Model Masterclass today. In my online class, I teach models how to make more money by showing them how to manage their careers as a business. From getting signed, to building a portfolio that gets you jobs, to building an audience on TikTok and Instagram, then monetizing it, to learning how to win the favor from your agents and casting directors, to learning how to brand yourself on social media, and how to lure in brands and brand deals to increase your income as a model. Getting signed doesn't mean you'll get work, but learning how to run a business does. So enroll my Model Masterclass now by going to my website at brandonandrephoto.com.
So I stayed here for all over the pandemic because obviously that time I was not getting an appointment for the extension back in India. So if I would go to India and if I don't have an appointment date and I don't have a stamp on my passport, I can't come back. But I can stay here because my visa is approved. But when I leave the country and I come back, they don't see the letter. They see the stamp on your passport. So that was very important. So I was waiting for an appointment date, which I got in 2023 to the extension of my visa, which I got it and got the restamping. I came back, did chefing in LA, then moved to LA for modeling with 2 management again. And then I went back to New York after I spent 3 months here, seeing all the clients, going to castings. And that's when I booked the first job, like actual job. It was 2023, December. I booked that job.
what was the job?
It was a commercial job, like an electric vape, Indonesian brand. I exactly don't remember the name of the brand. But then I booked few jobs like Asics. Then I booked few jobs with Puma back in New York. That my New York agent booked for me. So I did like 5 jobs in December.
And these are all like commercial brands?
Yes. So doing 5 jobs as a model in a month, as a male model,
Yeah.
it is an achievement, I have to say. After that, I came to LA. So then I thought I will become bi-coastal. From 2024, Jan, I was coming and going, working few jobs here and there. Obviously, LA is commercial, but they do some fashion shoots here as well. Then I booked like a beauty thing in New York in Feb. And then I booked a campaign with Lululemon in LA. Then I booked the campaign for Levi's in San Francisco. The agents were like working hard. And then I told my New York agent that I want to model for Ralph Lauren. They usually don't do casting. They usually pick models from models.com. That's sort of like a platform. By the way, I'm still not on models.com. Not that I can't be there, but I haven't applied for it. But they casted me and I was selected. So I did shoot for Ralph Lauren. But then again, e-com and some like lookbook. Not a campaign yet. But when I started modeling, Ralph Lauren was one of my dream jobs that I wanted to do.
Right.
Just going through that is like, wow, it took me this much time, but it didn't come to me the way I wanted.
Right.
It has its own way. I did that. Then I booked a few more jobs back and forth, LA, New York, LA, New York. Booked a couple of commercial jobs in LA, obviously because LA is commercial. February was the last month that I actually worked in the kitchen. Since then till now, full-time model.
February 2024 or 2023?
2024.
Okay. So in 2024, that's when you would say like you're finally like making money as a full-time working model, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And what would you say, if you're comfortable with sharing, the total of what you made in 2024?
I am the second most billing male model of 2 management.
Okay. So it's good. And
My full-time living is from my modeling.
see, the thing is, male models need to know what the reality is of what models are making so that they actually can go into this with an expectation of like, oh, I can make that much money from modeling. I think that's the only reason why I try to get people to be kind of transparent. I usually tell people, give me a range at least
Yeah.
if they're comfortable.
I was going to say the range the next.
Yeah, give me a range of how much money you were able to averagely make in 2024 as a male model, as an Indian male model.
That is so important as an Indian male model, because I think if you are in like States or you are an American, you would probably not care about it. But for us, $1 is like 84 rupees. So that is like a big thing. A person who makes $70,000 to $80,000 in a year has a basic living. I would say I had made like double the amount of that as a male model in 2024, if not more, but not less than that.
Double $80,000.
And that's with all the agency commission and with the taxes. But then having to be there from where you started is an achievement when you look back. You always got to look back if you want to know where you want to go.
So let me clarify this for the audience that's listening. Okay, we're talking about a man who came from India, came to the United States to do modeling from 2018 to 2024, made approximately over $150,000 as a male model that's Indian born. That's a pretty dope story.
I can tell you the money I made in 2021, 2022 from modeling in a year was $22,000. That's it.
Yeah.
1 year, if you make $20,000 to $30,000, it's really hard to survive because the rents in New York.
Right.
You have to eat. You got to have a gym membership. You got to have to take care of yourself, skincare.
It's different in different contexts because, you know, I was talking to Kevin, and I think in his first year, I think he made 15 or 20. And in America, it's different because I always tell models, you need to treat this as like a second income, not as the main income, right? But that's because they're in America. They can work any other job and they can do any other thing that supplements their income. But you had to only figure out how you can make this happen, especially because that's what your visa was for.
Yes.
So you had to do modeling. That had to be the only thing you do. And I think people forget that when they think about foreigners who come to the United States to specifically do modeling. The thing that allows you to stay in the United States is you doing modeling, and technically modeling only, which obviously a lot of people probably get by doing under the table type of jobs to survive. But modeling isn't a guarantee that you're going to make money. So it's an even bigger achievement that you're able to get to this point because of everything else, all the context and all that. So congratulations, and you should be proud of yourself. And I'm really happy to hear that.
It does make me definitely like proud. And like the first thing is like you do not give up on yourself because you saw the dream. And the second of all is you should always be thankful and grateful to the people who believed in you. You have to believe in yourself. Like no one would believe in you if you do not know who you are and what you want to do. And that is it. Like, and it's very important to have a good relationship with your agents. They can make it or break it for you.
Yeah, and the other thing that people got to realize too is that that's his first top earning year. And any business owner, even including myself, understands that it's one thing to get to that point once. It's another thing to replicate it over and over and over. And I think the other big thing about you is that you're 29.
I would turn 30 this year.
Turn 30 this year. Let's go. But that's also a big deal too, because a lot of people think that their careers end like after 25. I get so many inquiries from people like, oh, am I too old to be a model? It's like, well, it really depends. I mean, look at Hitesh. He's priming right now, which I tell young males all the time, like males prime in their early 30s. I'm in my early 30s. I'm 32. So
age is just a number. I would say that if you believe in your dream, it will come to you. And I still don't think it is a part of my dream what I'm living right now, but it's still not where I want to be.
Right.
It's not that if I would book some jobs and stuff, I'm not like, oh, I'm like a model. If someone asks me, what do I do? I say, I'm a chef. I don't say that I'm a model. And I don't like brag about being a model. I love being in front of the camera. That's why I choose to be a model.
Okay. Now let's transition into talking about being an Indian man in a very underrepresented world. And I really want to talk about kind of the controversy that I saw in my comment section when I made that video about South Asian male hairstyles and male models, because you're Indian and there are Indian Americans who struggle just getting representation in the United States, and you literally came from India and now you are dominating in this particular space in modeling. So number one, what do you think are the biggest differences between an Indian American male model that's trying to break through versus being born in India and immigrating to the United States to work in modeling? Do you believe that you're starting off on the same footing entering into the fashion world, or is one of you guys more privileged than the other?
Definitely, the American guy is privileged, but I think they lack authenticity. Just ask yourself, why do you want to do it? Because you want to be cool and famous? That's bullshit. Do it because you think you belong there. That's what people born here have it. You don't need to go to a country and struggle and make your way. Like, you coming from a country because you want to make it there. It's really hard to grow up in a culture and then settle yourself in a different culture, finding who you are, and like people to love you for who you are. That is what you need to discover, and people will like you or love you for who you are. So I think people who are born here, they don't have that attitude. Like, they don't need a story. They don't need to prove, like, they don't need to do anything. They're just born with it. And if that's not going to happen, they can have their life. They can be settled. They can work anywhere they want to be. It's very easy. I mean, look at the world today. It's so easy to make money through social media. People make a lot of money from just posting one videos. You have that option. But I also felt that my reason was the last Indian male supermodel at its prime, Milind Soman. The genre died after that. Everybody wants to be an actor. I don't know if that could be recreated, but I had that when I started. Like, I want to recreate the genre of Indian male supermodel because it all ended.
Now, are we talking about Indian males?
That reason, you need to have something that you're doing it for. You want to do modeling because you want to be famous and cool. I don't think that's relevant for me, at least. So that was my reason. And I think to have that drive in you.
What was your reason then?
Bringing back the genre of male Indian supermodel.
So you did want to represent Indians.
Yeah, I always want to be known as Indian. Got it. So you feel then that Indian Americans then who enter into modeling want to do it for then what reason? They want to do it because they're seeing other Indian models, or they think there's no Indian models and they can do it. They can still do it. Doesn't matter where you're born, but what is your reason? Like, what do you have in you? Like, what makes you different from others? Just because you want to be cool, the mindset of every young male model is right now. I'm talking about Indian American, or could be anyone, but I'm talking as an Indian because I'm Indian. But I think if you want to do it because you think you belong there, doesn't matter where you're born.
But that's kind of like the point. The point is that most young Indian males, whether they're, or I'll say South Asian, they don't feel like they belong there because they're underrepresented and they don't see themselves in advertising, in media. And another point that I want to get into too is discussing, especially as an outsider coming into this culture, how Indian males are represented in our culture in the United States, where they're seen mostly for being studious, the nerds. They're not, honestly, and I'm going to be transparent too, because I was blown away when I put this whole list together of male models, because I was like, these Indian guys, these South Asian men, they're really good looking. But you don't see this represented in American culture. So I'm like, wow, what a disservice you're getting being South Asian, where like every piece of media that you intake is basically you being called a nerd or a geek, or you're the comedic aspect of something, but you're never seen as the lead man. You're never seen as the attractive one. And so even as an outsider, someone that's Latin, you grew up thinking like, oh, well, I guess Indian men are not as attractive as other races.
100%.
Then I did my research and I looked at models. I'm like, oh my gosh, a lot of these guys are really good looking. And I'm like, why aren't they shown in our culture in America? So I think that was what I found the most interesting, because I've been kind of misled by our own media to think, that Indian men are not as competitive in terms of their looks as any other culture in the world. And I was happy to be disproven by that. And that's kind of what amplified me wanting to give visibility to all these male models. Because I'm like, yo, you guys should be proud of where you guys come from. And you guys need to build and lift them up, because more people need to see that how Indian males have been represented in American culture has not been honest and full. You haven't gotten the full picture of how beautiful the culture really is. And so that's kind of where I come from, like my perspective and stuff. American Indian households make the most money in the United States.
Yes, I know the most amount of taxpayers in terms of ethnicity are Indian, because they are in IT, tech, finance. That's why everyone from India come here and they study that. And that's what people see. And you saying Indian male models not having that thing, 110% it's true. Indian men were never considered hot, good looking. They were considered not good looking or ugly. That's not true because the world hasn't seen. You can't see three things and judge and generalize things. What I think about an American, I can't think about the whole America from just two Americans who have interacted in my life. Same thing. If you see three Indian men who are born in India, if you see a certain thing and you think everyone is like that, you're narrowing down your mindset. If you open yourself, you will see the most good looking people are from South Asian culture. You just need to give them a right platform. Like you push something that is in the trend. You do not want to believe in something that is actually genuinely good. But again, it's not the mistake. It's the world we live in. We always want to do what's trending. Like all kinds of ethnicity and stuff is being pushed hard at the certain time when there is a cause or something is trending. So I think there is still not anything that is like trending more like Indian, South Asian who are born there right now. And you saying the people who are born here as Indian, like Indian American, they do not get the chance. They are. I'm talking about my own agency. Me having to do that much in 2024 makes my agency think that we need another Indian male model. That mentality came in. Why? Because they saw me doing that.
Right.
That mentality is an achievement for me. So they got more Indian, born in America, not a big deal, but they got it. So the world is expanding. They want to push more. I'm not upset about it that I'm going to be left out. I'm happy about it that I created a mindset to my agency, to the fashion world, to other Indian male models who are even born here. Like they want to do like, okay, this guy can do it. We can do it. I was never a jealous person. I think if somebody wants to do because I want to do, it's an achievement. Why do people think they're scared of it? You're going to get what you deserve and let them be who they are. And that is an achievement. For me, my agency just signed few more Indian male models because they believe that they could do good. Why? Because I did that in 2024.
Right. And I think the cool thing about that too, in terms of even like thinking about it as a business, like you should never worry about another person, especially because I think what people think about, and this even goes when you think about like the curve world, right? Like when you're the first curve female model, you think that, oh, now they're representing more curve girls, more competition. I'm not this one-off in this little niche, but realistically, people are still going to hire you because of you. That's the cool thing about being a model and just even having your own personal brand is that people are still going to love you for you. And so it's not really about a look just coming in and potentially taking over. It honestly allows for both of you to thrive because now there's going to be more representation for your type of look. And this isn't just about being Indian, being South Asian, or being curved. This is across the board for anyone's type of a look. But in terms of now that I've seen visibility for male models in terms of like the research that I've done, when you see other Indian male models, is it easy to connect with other Indian male models? Because I felt like too from that video that I posted, a lot of these Indian male models were so appreciative and they were all very expressive, saying like, thank you for this because we are very underrepresented. So I imagine that amongst yourselves, like, are you guys connected? Do you feel that there's a difference between male models from India who work solely in India, which I did see an agency in India, and I'm like, oh my gosh, all their models are like really beautiful, but it's based in India, versus Indian models that are currently working in Europe versus Indian models that are working in the United States? Is there a difference from all three of those people?
I think people who are born in India and they go out in a different country, they have a different attitude than the ones who are like born here. But I think if you can vibe with someone and you have the same energy to share, you could be friends with anyone. You don't need to be like an Indian who's born in India or an Indian who is born in America. You can be friends with even models, Indian models who are born in America. I'm saying because I'm Indian, but I think it's more about South Asian and Southeast Asian. You can be friends with anyone if you can relate yourself. But then if somebody has a different energy, if somebody wants to be a friend with like a European model, they can be friends with that. I don't think I have connected with any Indian model since I've been here. I don't think so because I could never relate myself to any other Indian male model. Like I am very helpful. I would help models to like tell them whatever I could do. But if somebody just like wants like to be cool or whatsoever, and I do not hang out with models, to be honest. I am a very selective person. I have very few people in my life, very few, and I'm happy about it. And I choose to do that because I think I just want to have few people and solid people in my life than just like having multiple friends. I don't go to fashion parties. I don't go to anything. I don't do anything. I don't even drink or smoke. I've never done that in my whole life. I'm a very simple person. All I do is I love my espressos and my food, and I don't think models love eating a lot. So if there is someone from fashion industry who loves all that thing and who appreciates my energy and has a similar energy, yes, I have connected with people from fashion industry, but not specifically models.
Right. Well, you're going to have a lot of Indians watching this. You know, a lot of them are going to look up to you and look up to this interview because, you know, when's the last time you saw an interview with an Indian male model? So expect a lot of people to reach out to you. And
someone actually stopped me on the streets of New York and took my live interview about this guy. He's got famous on TikTok. He's like, what makes you confident? He stopped me. He asked my story. From that, seeing so many South Asian and Indian people, not just model, but people commenting about we're proud of you, like this and that, it already made me feel good. You don't need to be friends with everyone. You can still inspire people. You don't hold anything against them if you don't reply to them or text them. But I think I usually talk to everyone. I do not. I'm like a person who would talk to any single person in this world. I don't know. I could never talk to models. Pretentious, I think.
Trust me, I know. I know. But now let me ask you this. Why do you think that South Asian men are underrepresented in the fashion industry?
There are multiple reasons. First, there is no trend to that. Second, you don't see an Indian model blowing up. Third, I would say they just come here, they do few jobs and they go back. You gotta stay, because the more people know that your existence, that's when they're gonna believe in you and they take you. If you don't exist for long enough, people are gonna forget you. And that's the world that we only think about things that we see the most. That is a common human nature. And you have to be here. You have to stick. I stayed here. It took me 5 years plus 3.5 years in India to do what I'm doing. Plan B. It's easy for people to forget about anyone in this world.
What about the ones that live here, though? Because that's talking about foreigners. We're talking about even the ones that live in the United States.
The ones who actually are yeah, I feel they just gotta keep trying. And I think because nobody has been represented at that level till now. Like I mentioned, my agency just signed few other Indian male models, which is a start. If the client happens to know me, I'm busy. Do you have any Indian model? If any of the agency doesn't have, they're going to forget about that part. Obviously, I'm not going to book that job because I'm booked on a different job. But what is the replacement?
Right.
None. So the client is going to automatically forget about representing Indian the next time.
One thing that I asked an agent before, I was like, what goes into the looks that trend? Is it the brands that look for it, or is it the agencies that scout and develop it and stuff? So in your perspective, do you think that it's on the agencies to take the risk to find and scout South Asian male models, or do you think it's on the brands to take the risk on including them, or do you think it's both? What do you think?
I think it's both. It's for the brands to believe and it's for the agency to push. I'm telling, agents could make you or break you. If they believe in you, they will push you hard enough, and then the brands will end up taking you. Again, it's a hit or miss. You could not do as good as you think that you will, and the brand will never take you, but they will know about your existence.
Right.
It's all about people to know about your existence. And I think there's so many brands I feel I've done, and I might not have done a good job according to them. I will always do my best, but what brand wants is nothing personal. It's just not the vibe they were looking for, the mood they were looking for. Doesn't mean they don't like me or Indian male model. So and slowly, if it comes, I do more bigger jobs, and they see me on more websites, they're like, oh, this guy, we want to bring him back. Abercrombie and Fitch, the brand that only was known for just
white dudes.
I'm telling you, I made a breakthrough for that brand, and that brand has done a lot for me, and they believe in me because they love me for who I am. That day I was shooting for Ralph Lauren. I told my agent in LA, hey, Katie, I want to shoot for Abercrombie. I thought only white dudes do it, or Spanish dudes like this. But they are taking a lot of diverse people right now. I said, I want to do it. She's like, can you go to an Abercrombie store in New York, try a jeans and a t-shirt, take a photo and send it to me? I went after the shoot. I did that. I sent it to her. She said, they want to book you for a trial e-com. I said, great. After that, they loved me so much, they booked me for another e-com. Then they booked me for a campaign. because they were like, we want to give you a bigger breakthrough. Obviously, like, I know this about myself. I might not be the best looking male model or the most handsome or the smartest or the hottest, but I am someone who you have not seen before. That I know about me, because I am very authentic to myself and what I am in front of the people. So that is what Abercrombie really love. They shot 3 campaigns with me in less than a year, apart from having to book me for the e-com and lookbooks, multiple collections that they launch. So I think having to believe in you, like you can easily make it. Like you just gotta try it out. If I would have not booked the job, hey, I never had it. I'm not losing anything. I only got it. It's just you gotta try. So now Abercrombie in future, they will look for other Indian male models too.
Right, because you've already created that path.
So my agency will definitely find other Indian male models too.
Right. So yeah, so I guess it is in the agency in a way. The casting directors are gonna be like, who do you have? Show me who you have. And that's where they kind of get some inspiration too. One of the things that might be asked about Indian male models who do have a platform or visibility is the argument that, well, you had success because you have Eurocentric features versus Indian men or South Asian men that have other types of features. Have you been told this before? Have you heard this? And what is your response to that?
Yes, I do think that I do have a certain amount of look that could be this or that. The range of my look could vary, which I think I used to not like about me, but I found that that is my skill set. The other Indian male models or South Asian male models, they have their own vibes and I own their own energy and their own looks, and they could be represented for who they are. And yes, sometimes I could look a certain way, but then I can also look Indian. I could also look like Spanish. Some people say Italian, whatever satisfy that. But I know like who I am. And I think it benefit me now because I did not lose the track of what I wanted to do. Nobody wanted this before, like a person who could look multiple way. They wanted a certain look, a certain criteria, a certain fit for certain brands. And that is about me. This is my story. This is what my USP, this is what my skill set is. So every individual male model needs to know their own skills. What are they good in? What makes them different? You might not figure it out in the beginning of your career, but you will down the road if you stick to it. And I figured this out 2.5 or 3 years ago.
Do you think that your look is fitted perfectly for commercial? And like, what's your experience walking at fashion weeks and doing all that? Like, of all the jobs that you've gotten, is it just strictly commercial gigs?
I have a range like 60-40 of being a commercial and fashion model. I do between both. So I think it helps me in a way, but I would say I do like equal amount of fashion and equal amount of like commercial. Like I do shoot commercials in LA, but that's like 5 or 6 commercials. But then other than that, I do like just like regular fashion jobs.
Wait, so let's unpack what you determine a commercial versus fashions. What is a fashion job from your perspective?
In which you're like expressing less.
Like throw the brands out.
I think brands could differ between commercial and fashion, but if I would have to say, like for example, Apple, it's pure commercial, but they could do a fashion shoot too. Levi's could definitely do a commercial, but they could do a fashion shoot too. Lululemon, I would say it is both, but it's more drawn towards commercial. But like Ralph Lauren is fashion. Lookbooks, suits, and all this stuff are a bit of fashion, but a bit of commercial. So I think fitting into the both world is also my blessing.
Yeah.
I want to stay this way.
Right.
But also I'm not like stubborn about it that I want it this way for the rest of my life or for the rest of my career. Wherever it takes me, I would follow the lead. But this is like, I just want to be who I am. And if I have an opportunity to have a bigger breakthrough on a commercial, I'm not going to say no, obviously. I might discover new things about me. But if I have a breakthrough on the fashion, on the other hand, I would also say yes for that.
Right. So does that mean that you've yet to do like a New York Fashion Week runway show, or have you walked for any fashion weeks yet?
I've done it. Like when I moved there the first time, I did walk the runway. I did 2 or 3 New York Fashion Week shows, but they don't pay that much money,
right.
unless until you're a top model, then they will do it. But then at the end, you got to do shows, big shows in Europe. And then you got featured on models.com.
Do you feel like being in the United States and being 29, this is like where you found your sweet spot? Or do you think like now that, because you haven't been to Europe in how long?
6 years.
6 years since you've been to Europe?
Oh, I've never been to Europe.
I mean, like London, when you were trying that market.
It's been 6 years.
Wow. So it seems like you found your sweet spot. Like New York and Los Angeles is where you make and you work the most.
Yep. But also because there were few things that didn't work the way it should have been that stopped me from going to Europe. And now when I found the European agency, I do want to make it there. And there are a few clients that they want to book me. I just have to be there. When the clients will see me, they'll know my vibe, they know my energy. Hey, they might not like me, but they will know my existence.
Right.
And one fine day, they will see something that will make them think about, oh, we had this model for the casting. Would you check with this agency? That's all it's about. Like, that's how you think.
So now that you've built a name for yourself and it's still growing, right? Because 1 year of success, now you need to replicate that. What does that look like going back to India and re-engaging with the modeling industry there? Does that give you more leverage, more power, more influence? Or what do you think it would look like if you were to go back to just re-engage?
It would surprise you. Still, a lot of people don't know me because I'm never about showing off. People still don't know me. I don't have a lot of connections back in India. I was never a model who would be loud about himself. I'm always the one who just wants to work hard. And I honestly, still world doesn't know, not just the world, but even Indians don't know my existence. Like, it could be successful to you or to people who hear my story, but people who do not hear my story, they don't even know my existence. It's just because I might be a certain way, I do certain things in my life. I'm not like always about how my day looks like as a model. What am I doing as a model? Or also to way to reach to something is social media. There might be people who were talking about me back in India, like, oh, you see this guy, he's doing that. But am I showing that? No. I do not show 50% of my work that I do on social media.
Why?
I wanna not make it just about my work. It's about me. Like, I just wanna be real or who I am.
I like that. I also like business thinking, and I probably would encourage you need to build up. Because here's the thing. Number one, that's all cute and like, oh, he likes reality. But realistically, you have an ability to actually be inspiring and to build a name for yourself, to actually broaden your opportunities. Because there's a lot of things that you mentioned that I'm like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? You're younger than me. Okay. So like, you still have the opportunity to do content for cooking, do content about modeling. You're an Indian male model that literally broke through in the United States. That's a big deal. A lot of people want to know your story. A lot of people should know your story because you're going to lead people to understand your life experience. And I think it's powerful, and you're going to feel a lot more fulfillment by opening up and not just like being restrictive and hesitating. But I would encourage you, I would challenge you actually to utilize social media and make it a weapon and build your name out and show people even back at home, like, I did this, not in arrogance, but more as a leader. You got to see yourself as a leader, as someone that has done something that for most is impossible, and you're able to break through. Because I think that would be really cool. And even if this becomes like a launch pad for people to follow your story and to hear more about what you're doing, because it's, for the most part, still relatively new. You finally found your sweet spot. Something is finally sticking. This is the time to do that, because now this is when people want to follow you and see just how far you can get. So I would encourage you to take advantage of it, just like how I'm doing, and share your story, post the content, do everything that you can, and take advantage of it, because this time flies by so fast. And you only have now to make it happen.
That's my only drawback, I would say, because sometimes I think, as business perspective, I'm like, my agents take 20%, they do take care of this. But then I also know if I don't help myself, they can't help myself either. They can only push me to a certain limit, but it's me who is limiting myself from the world. And I think the more the world will know about your existence, the more they will want to work with you. And that's when your agent will push you even more. I think it's not always about me. The person who is involved with me, it's about them too. I'm not like a narcissist. Everything is not about me. I am here because of you, and you must be here because of something or someone you might have talked or like whatever, whatsoever. So it's always, I've learned, always give credit to the people who are you, like in your life, who you cross your path with, or you are sharing a platform or an experience with. And I've always been a one who's happy to see other people growing. So like I see you talking about that made me know you, obviously, because of the reason that you talked about Southeast Asian models. And because of that, I admire what you say, what you talk, and then I seen you growing, and it makes me happy to see you growing as well, in the way also that I'm sharing this platform and this time with you. I think everyone would give you compliment in a such a way like, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing this. But how good they feel if you tell them something in return, because they're also doing something. And I always acknowledge other people before I acknowledge myself. So I'm also happy for you.
Thank you.
You're doing great.
It's cool. Like, I think that's what's beautiful about social media, because I think there are very few things in life that are amoral, where it's like, it could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. And I have always loved what social media could become, and basically community, like, I think what's been cool about that series, because the only reason why it came up was because I started seeing all these guys that just had bad hair. I'm like, you guys, you need to like learn how to do your hair. And then I went into like, maybe I just got to do a video to show these guys.
I just showered and I just left. I didn't do my hair.
Your hair looks good. But
Thanks.
Problem is that there's a lot of people that would just hit me up. I'm like, your hair sucks. Like, you just need to do something about it. So I was like, I need to teach them how to do it. So then I'm like, let me actually just go on these portfolios and look at these models to show these guys how to style their hair. And then I realized, well, it's not every hairstyle fits every ethnic group, and every ethnic group is different. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I got to like break it down. But then I saw the feedback that I was getting. Can you do waves? Can you do straight hair? Can you do Asians? Can you do South Asians? Can you do black men? Can you do women? And women black hair is one concept that I have to like be very careful with how I go about it. But like, these are the ways, like, I never like intended to do what I'm doing. I'm here because I kind of got pulled into doing this, and I saw the need for people to get this information and for stories to be heard. And I'm like, well, I already do that in my day-to-day life. I mean, we would have had this conversation if we would have met in any other context.
100%. Like, if we would have met at a coffee shop, if we would have met on a shoot, we share our interest, and then like we connect and we meet over coffee or dinner, we would have talked about the same thing.
Exactly.
But the world would not know about this conversation.
Yes, and that's what's so cool about social media, is that now what's a conversation between you and I is happening in front of hundreds and hundreds of people, and it's growing. So, I mean, you know what? I'm just thankful. I'm thankful to hear, because, when I listen to someone like you, your story, it's inspiring, but it just reminds me of everything that I know to teach people about how to actually get to somewhere. And it takes a hustle, and not even overlooking though the hardship though. And that's why I wanted to give context to where you were at in each phase of your stories, because those moments matter. Those moments matter so much, because I experienced those to get to where I'm at. And it's hard to explain a success story or just even someone's journey without highlighting the moments in which you had so much uncertainty, or you had anxieties, or you had fear, or you didn't know what was going to happen. It's very important that we always make sure that you know that this path, that's what you're going to encounter. You're going to encounter a lot of resistance, a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. But when you have his mindset and when you have my mindset, you will pull through, and you will be able to have and hear stories like what he's sharing today. So I thank you for you coming onto the show and sharing a bit about your story. And I'm excited to see what's going to come from this, your momentum that you're currently in. And I'm going to support you, and I'm going to try to send as many people to follow your path as you continue to inspire other Indian American men and Indian men and any South Asian men that can connect to your story, because I think it's powerful. So I always like asking my models that I'm interviewing, let's manifest. Who are we wanting to work with? Who are you putting out there? Like, I want to work with you. I'm coming for you, Ralph. Or who is it that you're gunning for?
I would say one of the things that's happening on Thursday, I also wanted to shoot for Banana Republic. I'm shooting for Banana Republic.
Nice. Congratulations.
On Thursday. Thank
wow,
you.
Nice.
I told my agent, can you put me on a casting? See, fair game. If they don't like me, they don't like me. They saw me. I love accepting the truth. but I want to face it. Like, I don't want to go for the casting. I want to go for every casting.
Right.
I want to be rejected so I know who I am. Like, rejection is actually the real path towards the success. But you will never be successful because you always want more. But I would say everyone has their own story. I have my own. I'm not saying that not all Indian models do get what I want or what they want. They can have all they want, but if that's what they want from their life, but my journey is different than other people and I want something else. And I think inspiring people is good, but I want people to find their own journey by being inspired, because definitely something inspired me, but then I found my own journey.
Right.
And that's what I want. And obviously I've shot for Ralph Lauren, but I would love to, do like a campaign. And obviously, like, I want to go to Europe. That's my most important thing. I want to work for brands like Hugo Boss, H&M and stuff. I want to be on models.com. Want to work for more editorial like GQ. I want more publications where like world knows my existence. And I want to keep me being a chef all throughout my life with me, because that's the only way that I've found how to express myself.
Yeah. Well, we can't wait for you to launch your pop-up shop where you're going to cook for people and we all pay some money and you can make a big business out of it, out of love, because it could be high quality and we're going to pay him for his talent and his art and his expression. But thank you, Hitesh, for coming on to the show. I appreciate you sharing your story with us, and we wish you the best of luck, and we're going to support you every step of the way.
Thank you so much for having me. I do really appreciate you showing my story in your channel. I think if it could inspire even one person, I think it will make me really happy. And happiness is all that I try for in my life.
Amen, man. Amen.
Thanks for listening to today's show, and don't forget to hit that follow button to be in the loop when a new episode drops. Be sure to check out my model masterclass by visiting my website, brandonandrephoto.com, or by clicking the link in my bio on Instagram @thebrandonandre.